my favorite worship associate, and Veronica. Good morning. I'm Reverend Shay MacKay. Yes, I did get all my hair chopped off. Get the elephant out of the room. And I welcome you here this morning. I am joined on the chancel by Dick Bugs and Veronica Nordeng. Yes, got it right. Veronica's first time preaching for us all. So, And Jared and Martha and Kai and everybody else who makes our Sundays happen, I welcome you. It is good to be together this morning. If this is your first time at Unity Church, we are so glad you are with us. For the next 60 or 70 minutes, we'll share a time of word, prayer, silence, and song. And if you are visiting us in person today, there are some visitor cards in the pew in front of you. Please fill one out. You can drop those in the offering basket when it goes around later. If you are joining us online for the first time, please send us a note. Send us an email. We would love to hear from you. Whether you are here for the first time or have been coming for years and years, we are glad to share this time and this space with you. Whoever you are, whatever brings you here this morning, whatever you may need from this time together, know that in this place, all of who you are, your gifts and your wounds are welcome. We hope you find Unity to be a community that helps you find and keep your balance, and one that inspires you to lead a loving life of integrity, service, and joy. After the service today, finding yourself at Unity, we'll be meeting in the back, in the center room behind me here. And the topic today is Membership 101. For now, take a moment, settle into your seats, take a deep breath, and let us begin worship with the pealing of our bell.
Good morning. Allow me, please, to just look at you for a second, to ingest the beauty that I see in this room. Good morning. Some people are used to keeping the rules. Don't cross the street when the light is red. Makes perfect sense. But it turns out that keeping the rules isn't the same as keeping covenant, which asks us to keep our promises. And what have we promised ourselves? To this place, in this time, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected to this planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that we are, each and all of us, human beings. We promise that there is something moving around in between us that we cannot tame and we cannot measure. I love that line. We promise there is something moving around us, something in between us that we cannot tame and we cannot measure. This chalice reminds us that the light we carry inside will never light the way. Light, in order to guide us, must spill out. The thing you must be is yourself, unadulterated, shedding the willingness to journey alone, as though you were made of something hard and unforgivable. You are human. We are all human. We belong here, right now. And together, we will chase away the sickness, the secrets. Together, we will leave the only possibility we can find to work in a future and make that future a space for growth. Let us worship together. Let us come together this morning as tender gardeners of new visions so desperately needed as we trailblaze into the forever demands of love. Come, let us worship together. And please say with me as we light now the words as we light here the chalice. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith and the warmth of love.
Each time we gather for worship, we set aside a moment to expand the caring ministry of this congregation. We gather here together, trusting that this community is wide enough and deep enough to hold us in both our joy and our sorrow, in our challenges and our celebrations. Together, we recognize the cycle of life and death, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the center of this and every sacred community. In our community today, we hold Stuart and Julie Markel's mother, Julián, who lives in Fargo, who is 92. Julián is awaiting test results and possible surgery for thyroid condition and would appreciate healing prayers. Julián is a beloved mother, a preacher's daughter, and a preacher's widow. We are keeping Jen Vanek and her mom, Lynn Baker, in our prayers as Lynn recovers from surgery this past week. Her surgery to correct nerve compression in her spine went very well. She is at home recovering with a neck brace for a little while and would love to have cards. This is a good reminder that when you go get your coffee in coffee hour, there is a table where you can write cards to all of our folks. And I know from hearing from people that getting those cards in the mail when they're struggling and suffering is a real balm to the soul. Lynn Baker has been joining Jen in singing with the women's ensemble, and we hope we'll be able to join her again in the future. We hold member Kathy Tragowski in care and pray for healing as she recovers from a major surgery this past week. Kathy has jaw cancer and underwent a 10-plus hour surgery to remove part of her mandible. The surgery went well, and she is being well cared for at the U of M hospital. She will be there for at least a week or so, and also would love cards and care. And finally, we celebrate today with Louise Livesey All and Mark All as they celebrate their 12th anniversary today. Let's celebrate. They're sitting right here. Should I make you stand? No. We stand at the side of all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children, those who live with mental illness, grief, chronic pain, and addiction. We pray for our neighbors in prison, for those in harm's way, for all of us who are struggling to stay afloat and make ends meet. And we support those who rise above heartbreak to carry on the work of ending oppression in all of its forms. We celebrate, as always, with those who come through our doors and into this space with joy and delight in their hearts. This is a house of joy. And we also know that we can grieve together. We come together to grieve for the layers of loss and anger and fear that are present in all parts of our lives. I invite you now to speak into the embrace of this community what you've brought in your heart this morning. For all that we hold within, among, and beyond ourselves, now let us take a moment in silence together. Will you pray with me? Our prayer this morning is written by Reverend Micah Busey. It is called A Prayer for a Community Being Crushed. When danger descends, there is a ferocity that first feels like fear. It may be quiet. It may be small. It might not shimmer with the glimmer of certainty, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. This fierceness grows not through competition, but through collaboration. Not through the destructive draw of despair, but through the co-creative care of connection. The weight of the world is heavy, and grief often feels greater than the strength of your spirit. But have you stopped to see how many spirits are around you and surround you? Have you stopped to realize how many revolutionaries are reaching for you? Have you stopped to understand that you are not the only one breathing? Stop, see, realize, understand, and breathe. See the potential of a people who will not leave wounds to simply fester. Realize the charisma of a collective that heals harm through the heat of kinship. Understand the power of a lineage that doesn't disappear into the inferno, but instead allows it to soften them, to mold them, to reshape them into the free and flaming creatures we were always meant to be. Be the breath that fans these familial flames. Don't burn yourself. Don't burn by yourself. Even a phoenix needs friends. Move out from underneath that load you think you're lifting alone, and remember, heat rises, but it also needs to rest. So rest, rise, repent, repeat, and add your irritated energy to the unified force. The heft is always horrifically humbling, but there is also always a U-shaped hole in the united net. Empire does not want you to accept that invitation, but this is the only part that is worth your exertion. Inhale, exhale. When danger descends, there is a ferocity that first feels like fear, but don't fear it, queer it. This world might be threatening to make us martyrs, but we are far more than mere memories to be dismissed after death. This world might already have our names engraved on gravestones. This world, like its saviors, safely deceased, free of grit and free of glitter, neutered and obscured by innocuous gratitude. But don't let them bury you in the grimy ground just yet. As long as we're trying to overturn these tombs, we are the livid grit and we are the loving gratitude, and we are the living glitter we wish to see in the world. Amen. Our hymn is number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New. Please rise in body or spirit.
We started giving away our collection in 2006. And this October, 2026, will mark the 20th anniversary that we have been sending money out the door. And by that time, we will have sent nearly $2 million to support local nonprofits that help us achieve our mission. To introduce today's collection is Priscilla Morton. Good morning, Priscilla. I put out the bench here because you and I are small people. Here we go. We're height challenged, yeah. And what's the collection this Sunday is?
It is for Unity's You the Vote.
Oh, hey, great. You the vote is the recipient. Say it. You the vote. We got it. Okay.
Is it working now? Okay, good. So the You the Vote postcard project is one of several voting initiatives happening at Unity, all of which we enthusiastically support. The one that's actually costing money right now is the postcard and letter writing program, encouraging selected, infrequent voters to vote. So far, close to 100 people have signed out roughly 2,000 postcards and letters, and some, over 700, have already been returned and mailed for early primaries. We expect we will hand out an additional 4,000 to 6,000 postcards to be prepared and mailed by early October. That comes to a lot of postage money. I want to acknowledge that many of the writers are also donating the stamps for their postcards in addition to their time, which is wonderful, but we don't want to limit participation only to people who can afford that additional expense. So in addition to writing, we're asking for money to purchase stamps, printing, and supplies. The recipients of the postcards are in specific underrepresented communities or a different program identified as environmentalists. Both programs use tested, locally specific messages that turn anywhere from 3 to 8% of those recipients from non-voters to voters. If you have the desire but not the time to participate in this project, your donation will go a long way toward helping those who contribute through writing. If you haven't tried it, though, it's a good way to spend an afternoon or evening using color and creativity to bring a personal touch to your encouraging note. Thanks for supporting this action to get out the vote for November elections.
Thank you, Priscilla. And will the ushers please come forward?
When we live lives of integrity, service, and joy, generosity is sure to follow.
Out, Elfie. I know there's something much more, something even non-believers can believe in. I believe in love, Elfie. When you walk, let your heart lead the way, and you will find love every day. Thank you, Jared. 2024, General Assembly. 3,000 plus delegates voted overwhelmingly to replace the historic UUA principles with a new organizational framework centered around love. Love, understood as that foundational and animating force that connects our shared values of interdependence, pluralism, transformation, generosity, justice, and equity. 2025. Unity Church Unitarian debuts its revised end statements. They challenge us to cultivate a community of joy, of care, and of belonging. We walk with that charge, trusting that animating love humming beneath the noise of our everyday lives. Contemporary theologian Ilia DeLeo tells us that love is the real glue that binds our lives together. The key in living through these times is to evangelize that animating love, to champion its transforming qualities, to let our lives speak the values that hold us together in religious community. Evangelizing love, for me, is also allowing myself to dance to rhythms I cannot tame and cannot measure. Trust me, there's a real yippee in that dance. Last Sunday, Reverend Oscar reminded us that churches are communities of resilience, providing safe places, providing sanctuaries, loaded with resources, skills, and spiritual depth to keep as many people as possible safe and thriving. Churches nurture moral imagination, combining empathy and out-of-the-box thinking, inviting us to step into another person's shoes and to examine our tired assumptions that quickly turn into judgments. We recalibrate. We envision a wider embrace. Love is born anew. Moral imagination has created Unity's many outreach ministries. And I did not know until last week that each week here at Unity, we host 8 12-step programs where shared stories awaken new hope. And in February of 2010, Unity members Russell and Sarah Ballinger began the Circle of Peace movement, which meets every Monday here at Unity. It meets every Monday still, 16 years later. There are currently about 60 people in attendance. They share a meal, listen to each other's stories, transforming their lives while promoting strategies to reduce violence and facilitate community healing. Co-founder Russell gives us this summary: everyone needs to eat. Everyone has a story. Everyone needs to be heard. Now, I see Wendell Berry's invitation to practice resurrection as the backside of evangelizing love. Every day, we are called to bring our hearts, our spirits, our communities, our relationships back to new life. Every day, we are challenged to ask anew, what promises have we dared to make to each other? Every day, we are challenged to ask, what gives fire to our lives? These questions arise from the burning center of human experience. What emerges is a theology challenging us to imagine fresh perspectives that trigger individual and community transformation. We realign our values. Transformation becomes an option. Love is born anew. We become a resurrection people. Now, in this moment, I think of my parents. Were they here, they would say, oh, our boy has never learned how to stop talking. But I think of them because they stand tall among 95% of the people. Us, they stand tall among us, a people at River of Life, a people of the Vertical Church. They stand tall among the thousands of people who instinctively live by heart. People who feel the quiet joy that blossoms when we are genuinely present to each other. Look around every day and see thousands of volunteer groups working to keep people safe, working to help people thrive, working to rise people from the tomb of oppression so that they may say yes to life once again. You and I know that 90% of the people need no promptings. They need no reminders, or they don't need any help on when and how to evangelize love. So, what's it all about, Elfie? When you walk, let your heart lead the way. You will feel the rhythms of a love you cannot tame, a love you cannot measure. Grab that love and let it become your dance. Grab that love, Alfie.
On this scrap, I have written the names of people, neighbors, forgotten by most of society. They are almost gleefully ignored by our current systems. These names are placeholders, symbols of faces I have seen because often the person is not in a state able to give their name. I don't know their stories, but I love them. And I love them because they are me. Milo, who reappears each summer and walks laps around the block all night talking to himself, digging in trashes to eat, usually not wearing shoes. Carlos, a teenager asleep on the sidewalk after being discharged from the ER at 2 a.m. Rhonda, who rings the doorbell regularly and always tells the same story about being chased and she doesn't trust the police. Hal, being a safer user by standing directly outside the hospital to try a new batch of substance in case of overdose. Shauna and Katie, who walk by and get offered by Hal to use together if they go home with him. William, wandering around, lost after bar close, sobbing with grief and no one to talk to. Courtney, a young woman walking alone in the street wearing only underwear at 4 a.m. Morris, an elderly man on foot during the hottest night of the year, asking to buy water and to use the phone. These are threats I am instructed to protect our business from. As a low-wage, low-status employee of a corporation, a respectable corporation. These are people in desperation, not threats. At the fringes of society, oppressed by poverty and institutional neglect, they tell wild stories to coax their way inside. Often they behave in rude and unexpected ways. Many are unhoused. Some use substances. And none of those things justify denial of basic dignity. My employer makes it clear that I am not expected to even acknowledge the existence, let alone provide kindness or any amenity. In fact, if I were to do so, anything besides call 911 for police or medical, I would risk losing my job. Is it accurate to say that I am paid to dismiss others' suffering? Is this what they mean by shoring up empire? I have no choice but to comply because I am also in poverty. So really, the system is functioning as designed, encouraging me to look the other way over and over and over, weaponizing my own compassion as if it is a flaw of my humanity to be uncomfortable, seeing others struggle. It is wrong to blame vulnerable people for displaying the effects of poverty and desperation. It is a system devoid of respect to the dignity of life, and we can do better. These overlapping crises can feel too complex to even think about without becoming overwhelmed and giving up for our own sanity. We must have courage to imagine better. This is where harm reduction inspires me. One positive change. For our beloveds who are using substances on the streets, living with challenges most of us could never begin to understand, making one positive change makes a difference. One positive change. Again and again and again. It matters. It saves lives. This is my call to ministry. For years, I hungered for church, but I would oversleep my Sunday morning alarm. Despite various excuses, I can see now that this morning alarm problem was a hangover. So I'm an ancestral Wisconsinite that no longer drinks. Almost 2 years now. Don't celebrate, though, because I'm still a user. Like most, I'm on daily prescription and over-the-counter medications. And admit it, you're looking forward to that coffee out there after this service, aren't you? For me personally, less desire to drink was unintended, a benefit secondary to the miracle of finding a compassionate healthcare provider. After years of being brushed off, someone finally listened with empathy and compassion and offered realistic solutions for chronic conditions. Once my basic needs were supported, I was able to make different choices for myself. Fully quitting was harder than I anticipated, though, and I was embarrassed. I felt trapped in silence due to the stigma of being labeled an addict, even though I was seeking help. The soul-crushing shame kept me in a cycle that was difficult to exit. To me, the 12-step groups felt rigid and unwelcoming. However, I found moderation management helpful, a program that does not focus only on abstinence. While I did end up choosing total abstinence from alcohol, I never would have gotten there without the welcoming and inclusive moderation approach. I learned to self-reflect without judgment and to challenge myself to meet my own goals. The sermon isn't about prescribing a particular approach that worked for me. It's about lifting up the real catalysts of my transformation. Number one, another person lovingly taking on the work that was seeing me and believing me about my experience. Number two, options that fit my needs, that I could engage with on my terms at my pace. To transform, I needed accompaniment and agency. Unity was a part of that support, which helped me discover my fire, and I am eager to spill this light. Thank you for receiving my story. It is a burden, but I'm proud of who I've become. And I need to tell you that I know what it's like to make survival decisions based on real violence, abuse, and other factors that are real barriers. When I look back, some of my past decisions are hard to justify now. But back then, they really were my only choice. Most of my regrettable choices have been related to trauma and poverty, not substance use. But it is all interconnected, and I'm not special, except that I had the privilege of choice, options, and support. When someone is under multiple systems of oppression, their ability to make decisions for themselves is affected in real ways. When I look within at my younger self, I try my best to love her, even as I have trouble understanding her. But even at my lowest of lows, I was never less than whole, and I was always worthy of dignity. When I met with Reverend Oscar during his first year, I explained this experience of having a foot in two worlds and wondered how to make meaning out of it. I told him, I feel like I am a bridge from this seat of relative power at Unity Church to this unseen suffering in the streets. But what do I do with that? I do not support this busted war on drugs sponsored by a corrupt government that unfairly targets minorities. We will never eradicate substance use from society while also preserving freedom of choice. But there is harmful stigma that exists due to framing substance use as a moral failure. Faith communities have an opportunity and an obligation to promote a kinder view rather than continuing to blame vulnerable people for choices no one should ever have to make. When we trust that others may be coping with situations that we cannot begin to imagine, we practice not knowing but still loving them anyway. Resist the urge to disconnect through making assumptions that turn to judgment. Choose not to look away from suffering in order to avoid imagining oneself in such pain. This is the work of accompaniment. Substance use is part of the human condition. Substance use is a spectrum, not in alignment with the spectrum of morality. People choose to use substances for all sorts of reasons, and repeatedly loving people into the ability to choose better for themselves is the solution. Question the story that says it is inevitable in society that some percentage of us are deserving to fail or destined to sink. Love lifts us up, all of us. I want to share Faith in Harm Reduction, a ministry of the United Church of Christ. This emerging project is inspiring me to find new ways to evangelize love to meet the need around us. This new religious branch of the wider harm reduction justice movement started in New York City, a region long affected by preventable overdose deaths. That crisis is happening here, and it is getting worse. Remember the collaboration of cities across the country during the events of this last winter. Courageous Americans from Chicago, LA, Portland shared best practices via lived experience, which helped us know how to respond. Those with more power came together to protect our vulnerable. Our eyes were opened to the real risks for our immigrant neighbors. It hurt. We grew. We came out more trusting, more connected, and more motivated to fight for liberation. Are we ready to hear those who have been crying out for help long before we said we keep us safe? This is we. The people you have nothing in common with, those you avoid due to fear or discomfort, those you have judged, those who judge you. Start with one positive change. I have faith in the power of harm reduction. Will you join me? We're going to sing now. And I have special instructions. We're going to sing it 3 times. And the first one, we'll just sing it so we know what we're singing. The second time, please sing it to your inner younger self with compassion. It's hard to look at our old selves and justify our choices, but we can still love them and accept them. The third time, sing it around to those around you and make eye contact. It's not that hard to remember the words. It's a short one. This is 1053 from the Teal hymnal. Thank you for allowing me this place to grow. And thank you for listening to my story. I really hope that we can do something great together. May it be so. Amen.
Amen.